Hello everybody, here we are today and we're going to be doing a recap of the Eastern Final between the Montreal Alouettes and the Toronto Argonauts. Now before we start, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or the CFL, whatever the case may be. That being said, let's get on into it. So this game was so fun. I know a lot of people may not think that going into this had the potential to be maybe a classic if things went well. This had the potential to be a really bad game if things went poorly. You had the 11-7 Alouettes hoping to go to the Grey Cup for the first time since 2010, taking on the defending Grey Cup champions, the 16-2 Toronto Argonauts, team that beat them in Toronto last year in the Eastern Final to go on to the Grey Cup, which of course they ended up winning, which set the stage for a game that could see a repeat as the historically good Argos were hoping to get back and get that second ring. But that would not be the case on the day. As you would see early on, Marc-Antoine Ducroix would get his third pick six of the season, open the scoring of this game in Montreal's favor. And again, those non-offensive touchdowns so pivotal for this Owl side, as their defense has been huge in helping out in that category of non-offensive touchdowns. And this would be the only touchdown we would see in the first half. In fact, it would actually be 10-3 going into halftime. But still, you're looking at this, despite the fact that things were looking absolutely, rough for the Argos compared to what we had seen earlier in the year. To just be down by 7 after not really playing your best game isn't the end of the world. But the third quarter would prove to be pivotal in this game, as you would see the Owls kind of take advantage of the situation and have their defense continue to smother. As we saw in the first half, there were some moments where the defense was able to step up, I believe at least one or two third down stops in the first half, definitely one. You would see the offense get the first touchdown of the game, might have been off a turnover, I can't remember, I'm doing this off my head, I do apologize. And then you would see Intel get a pick six in the third as well. So instead of it being 10-3 in the second going into the third quarter, where you say, oh, we're only down by 7, you're instead down by 17, and the Alouettes seem to have full momentum in full control going into the final 15 minutes of this game. And then in the fourth quarter, you would see the Argos respond with a rushing touchdown thanks to Dukes, but Letcher ended up getting a return touchdown in this one. And as we progressed further into the fourth quarter, it really did feel like this was going to be the end-all, be-all for this game. You would see the Owls go on to win this one 38-17, but why exactly did they win? Well, I'm going to be completely honest with you here. I think a big reason why they won was obviously the defense. You look at this day that they had 9 turnovers forced, so they had 3 third down stops. They had 4 interceptions and 2 fumbles. They were able to get 2 defensive touchdowns in this game, and not to mention the fact that they had a return touchdown as well on special teams. The offense was able to help out and chew clock, and this was a game where Toronto really just beat themselves. I don't think that the defense is to blame. In fact, I think the defense did a really good job considering what the offense did. It was really the offense that struggled to protect Chad Kelly, but at the same time, I feel like Chad made some bad decisions. Chad was under duress, and there was moments where he would throw the ball, nobody would be around. So for the Argos offense, you would imagine, oh, any day now they're going to start clicking. They never do. And I know the old thought in sports is, well, when your offense is out on the field and you have a lead, the good news is you can kind of chew clock. It was one of those games, and I don't think broadcasters talk about it nearly enough, where it feels like it didn't matter whether or not the Owls offense was going to be out there. Cody Fajardo and the guys could go out there and maybe get a drive, that's great, but at the same time, it just did not feel like the Argos were ever going to be able to get momentum that they needed to get back into this game. They could go out there and have 10 possessions. They're coming away with a field goal at best. And for the Owls defense with Noel Thorpe, I would imagine the big thing in this game, obviously besides the fact that they got off with that early lead with the pick six, was as you got into the third quarter and the Argos started to get more and more desperate, they realized, we know what they're going to do. They're not going to be allowed to run the ball as much as they like. AJ Ouellette had a big run in the first drive, I think, that they had in that game. It was for, maybe 15, 20 yards. I don't know what it was. But for most of the night, they really had to be more pass heavy than they would have liked to do. The greatest thing about having a 1-2 punch is that you have the ability to have a good receiving core and a good back, which I talked about in this preview. Problem is, when you're down in such a big hole, the running back is not going to be able to be utilized, and the defense is going to know this is what they got to do. When you have a front group here in the trenches for Montreal, they're able to make Kelly's life miserable too with 7 sacks on the day. Credit really goes to them, because with them getting those stops on third down, some of those being in prime scoring positions for the Argos, that is not only points being left on the board, but that is giving your offense more chances to get points. At the end of the day, they don't get those stops on those third and short situations in some of those scenarios. They probably aren't necessarily winning this game. The offense didn't particularly have a great day, and at this stage it really looks like they aren't going to have a good day, because special teams and the defense will bail them out, but at the same time they'll contribute just enough to be able to keep things going. I've said that a lot in the playoffs, but this game just kind of emphasizes it a little bit more, where you look at this side and say, yeah, they played a really, really good Argonauts team. Who's to say they can't do this against Winnipeg? But that is going to have to wait for a few more days, as we wait until Sunday night for the Grey Cup, as Toronto is headed home after a big year that doesn't end the way they want. Montreal, for the first time in 13 years, is headed to the Grey Cup, maybe going to win another championship, the first without Calvillo there as the quarterback. But still, really cool vibe. A lot of people are saying, oh, they're Canada's team. I'm not going to dive into that, but I just did want to recap this a little bit in this game. What are your thoughts on this game between Montreal and Toronto, and what are your takeaways going for the Grey Cup? Let me know down below in the comments. Also, please make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. Everybody stay safe. Have a great night.